Halloween is a spooky time for kids. What with the werewolves and the vampires and the strangers poisoning your candy. The only thing scarier than a razor blade apple is the costumes. I mean, who wouldn't be terrified of this? Or this? Or fucking this? It's terrifying stuff.
My mom always tried to dissuade me from going out trick-or-treating, up to the point where she would actually bribe me with large bags of candy to just stay inside. And looking back on that, I don't know why I didn't take that up more often. I mean, free candy, getting to stay inside and play video games, it's a win-win.
Around the time my mom was trying to get me to stay home on All Hallows Eve, I got my first PlayStation. Now, we had two games for it. One was Metal Gear Solid, which was admittedly a pretty complex and difficult game for an 8-year-old, and the other was Demo Disc 7, that came with the console. Now, this disc introduced me to my favorite PS1 game, Tomba, and I spent hours playing and replaying the demos over and over and over again. Now, one of the demos on this disc was called Jersey Devil. Produced in 1998 by Behavior Interactive, it was a 3D platformer that went up against the likes of Spyro the Dragon and Crash Bandicoot. Now, growing up, I only ever really played the demo, but a few months ago, a friend of mine was trying to unload a lot of old PlayStation 1 games, and I saw that he had the full game. I grabbed it, along with a copy of Demo Disc 7, and played through it, just in time for this most terrifying of seasons. So now this game opens with our antagonist, Dr. Narf. Dr. Narf. Really? Dr. fucking Narf. Narf. Okay, anyway. Dr. Narf is doing some sciencey bullshit when his pumpkin-headed assistant Dennis comes in with a little baby devil thing. I don't fucking... Dr. Narf, ever being the curious one, is prepared to dissect the infant, but long story short, the devil blows up the lab with a convenient bottle of nitroglycerin.
I love the Jersey Devil as an infant. I mean, look at that! Look at the fucks he has to give! Absolutely none!
The nitroglycerin blasts the infant into Jersey Town, and we do the time warp, and we see that Jersey Devil has become the hero that Jersey City deserves, or however the hell that Dark Knight quote goes. Dr. Narf... Dr. Narf has apparently created an army of vegetable clone monsters that are terrorizing the city, and that's up to one satanic individual to stop them. So, time to overanalyze here. If the Jersey Devil, I'm just gonna call him JD from now on, is actually a devil, that implies that he's inherently evil, right? So, the devil hates vegetables, protects the metropolitan cities, and hates science. But he's the hero. Also, why is he wearing a double-breast jacket? He looks like a more cartoony version of the Shadow.
Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? The Jersey Devil knows.
The game starts out in this tiny hub world map. Available at the start is the museum, and later we'll travel to the park, the cemetery, the chemical factory, because every town has one I guess, and the warehouse by the docks, and finally Dr. Narf's forest. And each of these levels has 2 stages. In each of these stages, there are 2 hostages captured by Dr. Narf and a handful of nitroglycerin boxes that JD needs to hunt down and destroy. If you get all of the nitroglycerin boxes in a stage, you'll blow up the level on your way out and increase this little P counter on the screen. That does nothing, except it does give you access to bonus levels later on. I was hoping it would increase JD's attack power, since all of the enemies take way too many hits to kill. This guy here, 3 hits. This guy, a lot more. The bosses, well, I don't want to count, but check out how little damage they do to the enemy. It's bullshit. Right? I mean, come on. Mitigating this, however, is a pretty lenient live system. So it's like this, you do have a health bar. With the wonky collision detection in the game, JD is likely to take damage if you're trying to hit an enemy that's attacking you. So the health bar goes down, and when it gets drained, you lose a life. That's not too bad, but you lose a life if you get crushed by a boulder, fall into water, or fall into a pit. Here's level 1, by the way. Here's where it's safe to walk, and here's where you'll die instantly. While it does seem like it's stacked against you, the game is really generous with giving you the extra lives. I never completely ran out in my playthrough. Even in the biggest, most bullshit portion of the game, and I'll be getting to that later, where I ran through some 30 lives, I still had above 40 in reserve at all times. And the game's load times are actually really quick for the PlayStation 1. If you die, you watch the death animation and you're back in the action. That's pretty sweet, it seems like a fair trade-off. The museum ends with a showdown between JD and Dennis. None of the boss battles are all that hard, but some are just more time-consuming than others. Dennis goes down like a little bitch, and JD blows up the entire place. Now, we do need to point out that in addition to the Nitro boxes, there are normal boxes because all PlayStation 1 games needed large wooden crates and TNT boxes. Now, you get hurt if you jump on the TNT boxes, but not the nitroglycerin boxes, which is strange because as far as I know, nitroglycerin was the more volatile of the explosives.
All right, we're not going to take any more of this stuff than we need because nitroglycerin is extremely temperamental. So we
My only real issue with the nitro boxes, to be honest though, is that they're really easy to miss. And each stage has several points of no return, so if you'd missed a box earlier in the level, you'd have to replay the whole level and hope you'd find it the next time. And there's no counter per stage segment, only counter for the entire level. The completionist in me was tearing his hair out hunting these down. The next level is the park, which has you exploring a subterranean cave and a slip and slide. The boss for the park is a giant frog.
Froggy! Wait up!
And a sumo wrestling bear.
I think the game's just trying to be silly here.
Level 3 is the cemetery, which introduces the very first, well, and last, power-up for JD. It's a whirlwind that deals more damage than your normal attack. Now, this level drove me nuts because I had to play through it 3 separate times before I found all of the nitro boxes. This level is also the spookiest because there are a lot of coffins. Coffins equal death, death equals ghosts, ghosts equals spooky, ergo math is spooky. Math is spooky. I've got to say though, by far the most frustrating experience in the game was the intro to the warehouse. It takes place in the sewers. It took about 25 minutes of very slow moving turtle platforms, precise jumping, and watching JD sink like someone who owed the mafia money over and over and over again. It was around this time that I started noticing that the game was being awfully quiet. Now, I think my disc was scratched just enough to not be able to load the background music. Now, credit where credit is due here. It took some 25 minutes to get through the sewers the first time, but on subsequent journeys to the warehouse level, it gives you a shortcut that takes like a minute to get through. It's rare to see that kind of self-awareness in a PlayStation 1 platformer game like this, so I really appreciate the thought that went into that. Good on you, Behavior. Gold stars all around. Now, once you've completed all of the levels, you see Dennis turn the fountain in the hub world into a couple of rockets. Riding this will take you to Narf's forest, easily the most frustrating experience in the game so far. The jumps are so precise that it's infuriating. I burned through more lives here than the rest of the game combined. I died at this jump around 15 times. The issue really comes from JD's ability to glide. It's handy for precise landing on platforms, but when you activate it, it kills all forward momentum, which means that using it to extend your jump is extremely tricky and finicky. But that wasn't even the worst jump of this level though. That honor goes to this gap right here. After you beat a carrot man who looks suspiciously like Earl from Toe Jam and Earl, you need to use his body to jump across it. Only for whatever reason, I couldn't push him close enough to the edge to get the distance to close the gap. I died 11 times trying to jump across this one pit alone. In fact, this level brought on the cheap deaths so hard. I started with 72 lives, and by the time I confronted Dr. Narf, I was at 40, and that's counting the dozen or so lives I collected along the way.
Doctor! Look! He followed you, you rotting son of a squash! You caused me big trouble, little rabbit. But I'm too brilliant for you. Hey, Liz. Come say hello.
Now, the battle with Dr. Narf wasn't actually that bad. I just had hit Danny enough times, and then I gotta play tennis with Dr. Narf. See, I hit the green bottles back at him and he takes damage. The other 2 bottles he throws only hurt JD. So why does he keep throwing the green bottles at all? And more importantly,
Where's she keeping them?
Dr. Narf goes boom, and the city is safe. But for how long?
Well. Seems that this beautiful little city has fallen back into its old, peaceful, boring, casual life. Enjoy it, stupid little citizens. 'Cause I'll be back!
Nope. This was the only game made in this series. So fuck you, Dr. Narf. Fuck you and your crazy, stupid ass name. God, it's so stupid I just want to punch you in the fucking face!
So what can I say? I picked this game up because I thought it was going to be terrible, but I actually had a really fun time playing it. It still holds up today as a fun little platformer, even if everything about it is a weird mix between cartoony and drab. But if you have a chance to play it, I say give it a whirl, and have a happy Halloween. Unless you're one of those weird overbearing religious groups that doesn't celebrate Halloween, then have a fun Terrified Prayer Circle? If you enjoyed this video, you should like this video, because that's how you demonstrate that you like things. You should also comment on it so I get feedback on what I can do in future videos. And if you could subscribe, that'd be great. Free candy. Phone didn't get turned off. Also, have a fun, happy Halloween. Fucking shit dicks.
I am the terror that flaps in the night. I am the hero that every culture in every world needs. I am Darkwing Duck.